So hello everyone, we are starting our webinar, so welcome and thank you all for joining today. My name is Elena Grinyuk and I'm Regional Manager for the Central Eastern Europe at the SME Banking Club, and I will be your host today. And today we will speak about digitalization beyond the slogans. So how from the banking perspective this digitalization in crisis times looks like and how banks can cope and thrive. And I'm very glad to be joined today by three speakers, so let me introduce them. Piotr Filipiak, Business Solution Consultant at Comarch, Adam Warendziejewski, Global SME and Mid-Corporate Digital Platform Center Director at ING Bank Śląski, and Marek Chlebicki, Head of Group IT Strategy and Solutions at Raiffeisen Bank International. Hello, and thank you very much for joining today.
Hi, hello.
Hello, everyone.
So before we start, let me quickly mention some organizational moments. So our webinar is scheduled for half an hour, but we are ready to stay here till we answer the very last question you send us. So please don't hesitate to type your questions into the chat. The format of today's webinar is a panel discussion. So I have prepared some questions to our panelists. And after that, we will be ready to answer your questions as well. And we are recording this webinar, so right after we finish, you will receive the link to the video. So let's go to the topic. I will start the discussion with a broad question to the whole panel. So the virus changed attitudes to the digital tools very quickly, and we were enforced to the digitalization both in our private lives and job functions. So my question is, how exactly crisis affects customer behavior in the financial sector? So which percentage of your customers switched to the digital channels? Because if you look back at the beginning of this year, banks targeted in their digital strategies like to have on average 30–40% of the customers in the digital channels. And now probably this percentage is close to 90 or even 100%. So are banks ready, and what are the challenges and opportunities you see here? So, Adam, shall we start with you?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for that question. So basically, we see how the customers' behavior changed a lot during last few weeks after this epidemic came up in Poland rapidly. We are, as ING Bank Śląski, we are in a quite good position looking from services we offer to our customers, because our digital transformation journey started over 10 years ago. We from time to time, from year to year, from month to month, we delivered a lot of digital capabilities to our SME mid-corp customers. And before epidemic came, a lot of our customers were digital, and a lot of our processes, products were served nearly 100% digitally, or majority of this percentage was digitally covered. Let's start, of course, these basic cash management functions like transfers, statements, etc. This is 100% digital. But if we take a look, for example, for a new letter of credit, new guarantee, even loans, this number of digital transferring data from bank to customer were really high, around 60 or even 90%. This was before epidemic situation, before COVID came to us. And right now we see that, say, more and more customers are willing to use those capabilities. So they had these capabilities before epidemic came out, but they didn't use it because they didn't think that they will need that, or they prefer to use still standard human-to-human channel, for example. And we see right now that customers really appreciate what we offer them, and what they can deal from their homes, basically, without going to branches, to bank branches, or without going to meet real person. So we see that this migration to digital really is bigger than before. Before, that was driven mostly from customers, partly from banks, partly from our side as well, of course. And right now we see more and more pressure from customers. They want to use this channel. They appreciate what they already have. They want to use it even more. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Adam. And Marek, how the situation looks like in RBI?
Yeah, so definitely adding to the point which Adam have mentioned, I also I'm quite sure that the capabilities are there, meaning the development of the internet banking, mobile banking, all the digital banking suite was very much established over the last number of years. And looking from this perspective, this adoption was very much also driven by the banks themselves. But looking from the perspective, if we are capable, yes, we are. Looking from the also RBI group, but I think also as a kind of as an industry, we are capable to deliver not only this basic banking needs, but also to serve much more, let's say, advanced needs of our clients. Obviously, this pandemic situation have, I would say, speed up a lot of developments, a lot of discussions, and also as we used to rely on the traditional channels in the past, now we need to add a kind of digital flavor also into them in the format of the digital advisory or the remote access to the physical advisor of the clients. And definitely we are working on it, and here we are, I believe, quite quickly catching up. Looking from the clients' behaviors, because I think this is the second point, obviously the clients are now much more, I would say, forced to use the digital, which is also a chance. I think the chance for the adoption and the chance to stay with this channel for the longer run. And also we need to be aware, I think this is at least my hypothesis, that a lot of new behaviors which are driven by this pandemic situation will actually stay with us long term, maybe forever. So looking from this perspective, a lot of investments which are still to come in terms of the digital advisory, more complex processes, more complex solutions, also e-authentication, e-authorization, also all the e-signatures from this perspective are a kind of no regret investments which the banks need to let's say undertake in order to serve this new reality.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And do you see any difference in the customer behavior in different countries where you have network banks, or this is the same?
Yeah, so this is quite an interesting question. Thanks for it. We have the banks on 13 markets, and these markets are different from the size, different from the characteristics of the population, and also in a lot of banking behaviors, we see a kind of particularities on a kind of daily basis. But this particular situation, I would say, this is global, meaning this is very much influencing each and every market where we are, and also each and every bank. And I would say influencing in a very similar extent and similar way. So the clients' behaviors are also the same. Looking from the opportunity which it brings, I think this is also bringing opportunity to really standardize certain solutions and answer in a very consistent way for us as a banking group, no matter on which market we face the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Marek. And Piotr, how do you see the perspective at that moment, and what are the opportunities and areas of potential growth for the banks you see right now?
Thank you for the question. So first of all, crisis already hit branches massively. And the good thing is that customers found out that they don't need to go to branch anymore because most services are available online. So on the one hand, it's an advantage for banks because branches generate huge costs. But on the other hand, branches were responsible for selling or cross-selling loans and acquisition of new clients. But regarding potential to grow, in my opinion, banks will be forced to look for new income sources. Experts are forecasting lower financial results in 2020. And from the first data from March, it seems that banks had a significant drop up to 50% in the value of new loans. In some cases, finding a new business will be crucial for survival. And one of possible answers is e-commerce, because from the first analysis, it seems that e-commerce is massively growing from the pandemic, and people are spending their money in e-shops instead of shopping malls. And e-shops have a significant increase in the number of new customers. So some of them will stay with e-shops after the pandemic, and banks still has a space to grow there because they can offer financing to the buyers or propose payment services to sellers. Thank you.
Yes, this was actually today. I saw the news actually from ING Bank in Poland that the bank is helping the SME customers to open e-shops and with the help of Payment Gate, eMoje. So this is one actually the direction now, to bring the physical shops to online, and actually one of the sources of the revenues. And Piotr, maybe the next question I will address firstly to you. So yes, switching to the remote work right now is the only way to ensure business continuity, and for the bigger number of the sectors and banking as well, of course. And time to market of digital solutions became crucial. So how can banks accelerate the cooperation with IT vendors? And here, where do you see a space for disruptive technologies that will help banks now?
Right. So firstly, all of us needed to become digital nearly overnight, and it applied both to banks and to IT vendors. So nowadays, it's very important for vendors to maintain projects with banks 100% remotely, without any presence on site, but keeping the same efficiency. And regarding time to market, in the present situation, while branches are closed, like Adam and Marek has mentioned, 100% of the features need to be accessible through digital channels. So no one was fully prepared for the crisis. One bank had better preparation than the other, but that's why time to market is more important than it was right now. And regarding IT technology, disruptive IT technology, sometimes it's faster to deploy a new functionality developed in-house by the bank, or just add an existing module from the third-party vendor. And this is why an open solution has an advantage. Adding or removing modules from the platform should be as easy as downloading the app from the App Store or installing a new software on the computer. And we shouldn't forget about call centers, because they are also under the huge pressure. More clients than usual try to reach the bank through the phone. Therefore, consultants should use the software which helps them to be really efficient, like video chats. And in the same time, banks shouldn't forget about security. Authentication of the new customer in the times of pandemic can be the biggest challenge, because many banks were using couriers for signing contracts with new clients, and now this process is unavailable due to the COVID situation. And the answer is fully digital onboarding, including Know Your Customer. It can be the most anticipated product on the market right now. And in this case, time to market really matters. Thank you.
Yes, agree. And maybe at once, what is the average term that you can implement some solutions with the banks? Could you bring here some examples?
Yes, thank you for this question. It's very important. Of course, there is no answer for that, no one answer, because it depends on the project. One project may require customizations or integration, and the second one may not. But we have a recent fresh case study from one of our clients, and it is that within 2 weeks, we have deployed in bank features which helps companies to get anti-crisis government subsidiaries in Poland. And this is a good example for fast time to market in times of crisis.
Okay, thanks. Marek, and how do you accelerate the cooperation with IT vendors now? Has some focus changed from the beginning of the crisis? And what are maybe the vendor services that you would label as essential right now?
So looking from this perspective, I think the focus remained the same as it was before. So there is kind of evergreen topic of the integration, which already Piotr have mentioned, and I think the integration and building the sufficient integration layers was important before, but it's even more important in the current days, where we have a need to really promptly introduce to the markets the new solutions or the new features. So looking from this perspective, I think this is still remain the focus, but obviously we are even more, let's say, concentrated on this topic. Definitely what helps also is, I would say, the migration of the solution and the infrastructure and the portfolio of the solutions into the cloud. So if we are able to deploy the cloud solution, it usually also makes the whole implementation much quicker. In order to address both topics, we as RBI have created a kind of integration layer for the entire group. So whatever we can bring into this integration layer dramatically shorten the time for the, let's say, accessibility from the network banks. And I think this is one of the answers we can have to this situation. And I would not forget about the another point, which is also agile way of working, because we are working in agile internally, but if we also cooperate with the vendor and the vendor is able to work with us in the same manner, I think it's also very much speeding up in terms of the cooperation on the implementation.
Yes, thank you. And Adam, would you comment on this question?
Yes, of course. I just need to turn on the microphone. Yes, of course. I agree with Marek and Piotr regarding let's say preferable, or let's say the biggest challenges right now that we are having. The first 2 weeks, first few weeks after this epidemic came out, we were, let's say, struggling with our infrastructure, and we're trying to put nearly 100% from central offices, from IT, from ops and call centers as well. Like Piotr mentioned, to new situation, and to be sure that our internal infrastructure will cover the most important topics. Right now, we are in the phase that we are trying to speed up some basic processes. We are trying to get back or even speed up standard way of delivering stuff. And yeah, we are searching new opportunities as well regarding new applications, or with new models, with external vendors, and internally as well, like video verification, out-of-bound authentication, chats, video chats, etc. This kind of stuff that was maybe not crucial a few months ago, but right now it begins to be crucial in current situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Well, my next question, so I will ask one more question, then we will start reading questions from our attendees. So my next question is also to all the panel regarding the home office, that we also wanted to discuss this. So the question, maybe we'll start from Adam. What percentage of your bank's employees is working remotely right now, and how do you think will this solution of remote work will remain when the quarantine finishes? Because, you know, there are now some of predictions, and then one of them is, for example, I read recently a Cognizant report, and they predict our life, like which will be like 5 years after the virus. So, and the prediction is that on the aftermath of the pandemic, that homes will become a place where we can really self-isolate and concentrate and stay connected with the world, and that the new homes will be built or rebuilt with the dedicated home office space, with the routers in the right place, with the special wall screens, with soundproofing systems, etc. So how do you see this? How do you think? What do you think of that?
It will be really, really nice that everyone will help. We will have this specific space, but it is dedicated for work. Hopefully, everyone can afford that. We will see how the crisis situation will happen, will end. Right now, nearly 100% of people from central office are working from their homes. Only part of the people that is responsible for IT infrastructure, for managing IT infrastructure, they basically need to be sometimes in their offices, and around 60% of people from branches are working remotely as well. They've got rotation as well, and there are the security mechanisms that are covering their safety and our customers' safety. But majority of our employees are working currently from home. What would I think about this situation? Let's say this is challenging right now. Let's say mostly from the perspective of cooperation and collaboration between people working closely together on a daily basis. I am responsible for development of digital platforms for SME mid-corp customers. I've got several squads that are working closely together on digital capabilities for our customers. And I see that, say, sometimes it was better, a little bit maybe better situation regarding collaboration, constant exchanging of knowledge between squads, between people inside the squads before epidemic situation, when they are sitting together around one table, than previously. So we need to find ourselves in this new situation. We need to find the way. We need to find communication, schemas. We need to find right tools to provide this, let's say, the best possible way to develop stuff for our customers. But I think personally that this maybe not epidemic, hopefully not coronavirus, but let's say more and more people will be trying to work from home, or will be pushed to work from home, say by the situation or by even cost saving aspect. That let's be honest, this is also some additional point to cover, because we as an institution we are saving costs regarding office spaces, water, utilities, etc. So I think more and more people will be working from home. Maybe before epidemic, I read some analysis that it was around 5% of people in Poland are working from time to time from home, and I think it will be more and more after this. Hopefully, coronavirus will be dead. We will see. So I think around 20-30% will be constantly working from home, and we must find the way to be as much as effective as possible in this new situation for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Marek. What is your view on that?
Yeah, so I can also share that similarly to what Adam had said in our organization. Also, vast majority of employees are working remotely, working from home. So I think from this perspective, definitely the Group IT have done a great job in order to enable this. I mean, both on the head office, but also all the network banks level, and obviously all the functions which are required for the continuity and security of the operations are working from the office. But nevertheless, like I said, majority of the organization is remote. And second, this new situation proved that this remote work is nothing of the worry. I mean, the productivity, the engagement, the collaboration are really good. Obviously, like also Adam have mentioned, there were several, let's say, things which always work best when you can meet with someone physically, have a kind of touch point. But obviously with the tools which we have for the remote collaboration, I think it's not that much of the issue as this would be even a couple of years ago. And looking from the projection for the future, I think there are like two drivers. First is this kind of new normal, I would say, paradigm. So all the social distancing, all these new requirements which we will need to embed as organizations into our offices, to secure the employees, to secure the kind of good work environment. That I think this is still a kind of new challenge which we need to face and define how we will tackle it. But definitely it will drive the remote work or home office work for at least some part of the people. And second is obviously also the kind of new ideas or the new normal for our employees, because even if the past, like it was mentioned, maybe 5% was working remotely, this was still a kind of test or still a kind of laboratory environment. Now, when for the massive amount of people working from home can prove that this work can be equally efficient, then there is no argument not to continue on a much broader scale. So I think these two, let's say, drivers are very much impacting how it will look in the end. And to be honest, so far, especially in this very first weeks of pandemic situation, we've been more like reacting to it. So whatever we were doing was more like a reaction to the circumstances which were coming to us from the outside. And already now, I think it's also a good moment to have a more strategic thinking into what will be this new normal and how this impacts and how this, let's say, drives the definition of the new target operating models for the number of functions, for the number of processes which we have in the past. And as coming to this very first point, which we have, this digitization is really now speeding up, I think we will have a good answers quite soon. So looking from this perspective, let's say, few drivers, but obviously this home office or remote work will definitely continue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. And Piotr, how the situation looks like in Comarch? And the second, my question here, what are the solutions that Comarch can provide to the banks to make the remote work productive?
Thank you. So first of all, we also needed to switch to home office. And since our company is more than 6,000 people and we have offices across the world, it was really tough, but we did it. And interesting fact is that we have used only our software to perform it. And it was the best possible experience with our software for us. And since I'm working for the technology company, I need to mention about technology. So security was the biggest challenge, and every bank had a VPN for its employees before the COVID, but the network wasn't ready to maintain 90% of employees working through the VPN in the same time, in parallel. So it was the biggest challenge to provide to banks and to provide for ourselves VPNs that will maintain such a number of employees. And regarding the landscape after the COVID, it's possible that offices won't look the same way after the pandemic. And probably more people will work from home as it saves time and costs of transportation, for example. And companies will also save money, and banks also save money on expensive offices spaces. So from the perspective of IT vendor, it's crucial to deliver safe tools like VPNs or video chats that support employees and customers and guarantees efficiency of their work.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, the security is one of the main topic and questions that I was receiving from different our webinars and from bankers from different countries. So this is actually the main focus and the main question now with the widening and spreading digitalization. So I will start reading the questions because we have some, and probably now I will combine several questions in one to let everybody answer them. So are any of the banks focusing on purely digital products? This was the first question, and it will combine with the question, are banks considering more the adoption of open banking? So Adam, shall we start with you?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, of course. So there are, of course, banks that are strongly or para banks, or let's say challenging banks that are focusing only on the digital capabilities. Whatever you can call, but whatever you can find. But for example, Revolut can be considered as a bank. They're under banking license. So Revolut is focusing, of course, only, for example, for digital capabilities, and there are many of that, N26, etc., etc. So there are many companies, banks, parabanks, startups, fintechs, whatever we call it, that are focusing on the digital capabilities. And I see there are many banks, specifically in Poland, for example, that are focusing on a digital right now, not only for retail customers, but as well for SME mid-corps also. So we as ING Bank Śląski, we put a lot of investments from last 15 years, let's say, on building digital capabilities, and parallelly with our standard way of delivery, of selling, servicing clients that is based on the branches, we were investing a lot and building a lot of digital capabilities on the last 15 years. So I think we can be as well considered as one of the banks that are focusing on the delivering digital capabilities for our customers. And regarding second question, what's that about?
It was about open banking.
Yeah, about open banking. So PSD2 is here. PSD2 works from some time, for half a year. And to be honest, I don't know still how this epidemic COVID situation can be say connected with open banking, but I'm sure that open banking, regardless epidemic, regardless COVID situation, will be a thing, maybe not now, maybe not in 1 year, but in few years for sure. So, but it needs a good case, basically. So it's not open banking that will be implemented as a thing, as open banking itself is not a thing. Specific situations that serve our customers in delivery of the value chains will be a thing. So maybe in this new epidemic, maybe in this new pandemic situation, open banking will help banks, fintech, startups, whatever we call it, with usage of open banking to build digital capabilities, to build digital new way of building better, maybe not so impacted by COVID situation, by COVID epidemic to our customers. So this is, let's say, more like not itself, but more like a tool to deliver value.
Yes, thank you. And I actually will comment that ING Bank in Poland was one of the first to implement the account aggregation for the individual and entrepreneurs. So one of the first using these open banking solutions, let's say. Yes, Marek, what would you comment on this? So the digital products, purely digital products, and open banking solutions in the group.
Yeah. So if the question is, are the banks investing into this category, and if this pandemic situation is, let's say, speeding up or even more focusing this investment, the short answer is yes, definitely. The longer answer would be that obviously we were investing into this also before, since I would say the whole digitization is #1 investment topic, not only for the RBI, but again, I can speak about the figures from the entire sector. So this haven't changed, and obviously we not only build or we not only modernized what we have as a kind of legacy solutions, but we are also building completely new things, which we also build in a kind of digital native way or digital native environment. So looking from this perspective, like I said, I see a big benefit of having them, and I can tell also that where we have the end-to-end client onboarding, end-to-end account opening, end-to-end digital lending also for the new to bank clients, this process are being used, and during this pandemic situation, they are used even more with the let's say higher numbers than it was ever before. But this whole situation only, how to say, strengthen our thinking that this is the right direction and right way to go. In terms of the open banking, I think an open API, let's say, consideration again, this was also in the past on our agenda, but I think what here is a kind of new opportunity to this point, which Adam was bringing. Definitely the fact that the e-commerce has additional boost from this situation makes any solutions which are coming from the banking through the kind of open API, open banking environment, which are around this e-commerce value chain from the logging in to the financing of the purchase, obviously will be getting even more important from this perspective. And obviously this can be considered as this new use cases or the use cases which will be even of the bigger focus than they were before.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and actually I read, I think yesterday, like a very fresh news that Tatra Bank, which is your network bank in Slovakia, also implemented this account aggregation within this PSD2 directive. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. This was really great work of both Tatra and the head office team jointly. So very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah. To continue this topic, maybe let me also ask at once the question: do you think banks could benefit from partnering with digital challenger banks, such as mentioned Revolut or some other, to deliver digital capabilities to customers? Maybe I will broaden the question about the cooperation with fintechs. So how can this make time to market of some solutions faster? Marek, maybe you.
So I think, again, the topic of collaboration between banks and fintech is a kind of evergreen. And again, I would put it even more broadly, because we can speak about fintech, about challenger banks, but also about any kind of technology vendors which are there to help us to build a value proposition for our clients. So I believe whatever is fitting into the value proposition of us as a banking group and particular network banks, which can be used for the benefit and for the value of the clients, is very much appreciated, wherever from it is coming. And looking from this perspective, we obviously aim at collaboration of the fintech partners as bringing the ready solutions to our, let's say, digital suite, is also very much helping us to be quicker on the market. Obviously, we have to remember that whatever we are bringing needs to meet our requirements, needs to meet our security standards, and in the end needs to allow us for the fast integration. So this integration effort is always on our side, but have to be also on the partner or the vendor side. So looking from the pure technology perspective, I see this collaboration very much, let's say, positive and growing. And looking from the broader perspective of the collaboration with this challenger banks, I don't know if this is needed. I think we have enough, let's say, solutions and enough possibilities around to really build good value propositions out of the technology components which we developed or which we purchased, to be a kind of good sparring partners for them on the market.
Yes, thanks. Adam, would you comment from your side?
Yep, I agree with Marek, basically. So the first thing that we can benefit as a bank from challenger banks or fintech companies, of course, we can learn from them a lot how to bring the good UX, user experience, UI for our customers, to bring their different, because they are serving to our customers different ways. They are building specific stuff with the dedicated functions, smaller functions, not so broad like the bank, but with the very, very superb value. And we can, of course, learn from them a lot how to bring the best value possible. And I'm really sure that we can adapt fast. We can learn from them as well, and this is one thing. Another thing, these smaller companies, fintechs or whatever, they are good in specific functions delivery, like video verification that was mentioned some time ago by Piotr. But for example, we collaborate with Twisto. So this is a company from Czechia that regarding e-commerce services, that helps us in e-commerce services. So they offer basically buy now, pay later stuff, not in the traditional way, but more like maybe not loan, but some kind of loan, basically. So we are partners in the specific topic like e-commerce functions. So this is as well some additional point to interact, and we can both sides can benefit from that. Of course, we can provide customers. We provide sales channels, for example, for Twisto, and Twisto can benefit, of course, from us as well, and we can benefit from Twisto because this is additional specific service dedicated to this kind of customers that we as a bank we didn't deliver earlier, and they are quite far away with the delivery, quite far with the thinking, and we can benefit from them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. I will hear it just one comment from Andy, and maybe you, Adam, will please comment how it looks like in ING. So that the comment is that P2P lenders are already digital end-to-end, and how this COVID situation can conventional banks transform to pure digital, so that the conventional banks still require face-to-face activities for loan process. I think that in ING you have all the process, even for lending, available digitally.
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
comment?
So maybe conventional banks, yes. With ING, so this is not conventional bank. We provide easy lending capabilities to ING SME mid-corp customers. So this is purely digital. With using of ING Business Channel, clients can take a loan. Of course, this is not for new clients that we don't know anything about them. This is for customers that have some relationship with us for some time. But basically, this is purely digital. So this is more like discussion of the adoption of the risk of the risk appetite that we have. So this is more like that. Of course, we can give 100% loan to digital channel, but we must be sure that this is safe loan. So regardless the channel, more important is the risk appetite, and how can we be sure as a bank, as institution, that this is safe lending, and the customer will give us money back basically.
Yeah. Thank you. Piotr, would you comment on the previous questions? And so I have another one for you. So here we have a question about the financial literacy. So does it impact on digitalization? What do you think of that? Should IT companies or banks teach somehow consumers or even business customers to use digital channels? What do you think of that?
Okay, thank you. So I would like to start with open banking, if I may. I would like to put a word on that. So open banking actually can be a case in COVID times, because let's imagine that we have a client who has accounts in 3 banks, and now all of the branches are closed. So thanks to the open banking, he's able to aggregate all the accounts, but he will aggregate it in the most technologically advanced bank from all of these 3. So this bank will win because the client will be logging to see all of the accounts only to this bank, and this bank can be able to upsell something or cross-sell something to this customer. So this can be a very important case during the pandemic and during the times that branches are not accessible. And regarding financial literacy, I think that we should educate, we as a bank, as a financial industry, we should educate customers even if it's no COVID situation, because it's very important to, for example, get to know customers what is the cash flow of the company, because some of them obviously doesn't know it, and if they do, then there is then we have a more safe client, and the client which is aware of all of the risks, like running out of cash in the company, or he will be more aware when to look for a loan or other financing products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Maybe Adam and Marek, would you comment shortly also, how do you educate your customers, and if it is needed to switch them to the digital channels?
Yeah, so I may start. Definitely it is required to let's say spend enough time to educate the clients, to promote the remote channels, and I think we were doing this before. We are doing this also right now. I think this whole situation is, on the other hand, also helping to some extent, obviously, in this situation, because you can have a kind of classroom trainings, but until you do and have a kind of on-the-job training, this is completely different, or have a kind of theory and the practice. And looking from this perspective, I think there was always a lot of materials. There was a lot of education efforts from the banks to promote, to educate how to use the remote channels, also in a secured way. Looking from this perspective, if the security was a worry of the clients. But I think this situation is somehow, let's say, making the clients face that they need to use it, and looking from this perspective, they can use this knowledge and this education in practice. And I think this combination is currently very important one, to keep educating, having the possibility that the clients will actually really use it, and then perhaps get used to and use these channels even more broadly than it was ever before.
Yeah, so we are in the same situation. So like I said a few times, we start this digitization journey a lot of time ago, and part of the clients are really willing to use it because there are early adopters. They prefer to use digital channels. They don't see the benefit of they didn't see benefit of meeting person in life in branch. They benefit from use digital channels before epidemic situation, and we were pushing a lot of more and putting a lot of more materials and possibilities into ING Business Channel. And right now, after epidemic came out, we parallelly started to once again start a new campaign. This is called ING Business More Than You Think. A campaign where we giving more and more information to our customers regarding ING business capabilities. So we are pushing our customers to discover functions that are there, functions that they can use from ING Business Channel and any other channels that we have in bank. That basically they can do nearly everything through online banking.
Thank you. Yes. So the next question, I will also combine several, and it concerns the customer's behavior. I think that so several questions appeared that at the beginning of the crisis, in many countries, ATMs were cashed out. So many of the customers withdraw the cash. And the next question is the replacement of ATM possible with using digital currency? Or maybe I would say add here maybe the promotion actually of cashless payments. So
yeah,
who would like to
so looking from that perspective, yeah, obviously this was visible. On one hand, we could all face it in TV, this queues to the banks, to the ATMs, and second, we could see this in the figures in a lot of countries. I think there are like two drivers, and we need to consider like what was the motivation of this behavior. And I think still like having the cash in hand is a kind of synonym of kind of security, that no matter what, I'm secured because I have my savings, let's say, somehow with me. Obviously, the banking sector needs to provide the security, this kind of comfort of security to the clients, and I think we are doing a really good job in this regards. I can speak on behalf of the RBI. Still, a lot of clients across a lot of banks just wanted to feel secure, and I think this was one of the motivators. The second, we need to also distinguish that we. In the CE, we operate in the kind of multi-currency environment. When the currency rates was also quite influenced with this pandemic situation, and therefore also all the foreign currencies were, let's say, a kind of run for in terms of the clients who wanted to secure that due to this fluctuation of the exchange rates, they will not, let's say, lose their savings. So I think looking from both perspectives, there could be the drivers. And if this is so, I don't know if we can all fully answer to them with this cashless payments. But nevertheless, obviously, we try to make all the payments for our clients as digital, as secure, and as easy as and convenient as possible. So I think that whoever have experience or was used to have a kind of more cash, let's say, behaviors or physical, let's say, transfer of the cash, now is for sure quickly shifting to the digital process. But looking, like I said, from the behavioral perspective, I think it would be quite interesting to understand what was behind it. Was it the sense of insecurity with the banking sector, or there was some other drivers which were behind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Adam. What was the case in ING Bank?
Yeah, we saw, of course, a lot of pressure on our ATMs, new branches, mostly the start of the crisis. After some information came out that there will be some stay-in-home political situation or policy in our country, and we saw some run on the bank. But I think all the banks and our national bank as well, they provided their best. Most of the ATMs weren't run of the money, so maybe on the most crowded places, etc. This kind of stuff. So, but I think this was maybe not only, but this was most of the situation with the first few weeks. And looking back, this whole communication that, hey, maybe cash is not so good when we have this epidemic situation, when we need to exchange, when we need to limit touching ourselves, we need to limit to touch any objects. So maybe let's start to use cards. Maybe let's start to use touchless payments, etc. I think this a little bit smaller. This run on the ATMs, run on cash. So we as a bank, we in Poland, we promote cashless payments, we promote cards payments, we promote all the digital exchange of money from a lot of years. And I think this epidemic situation, like a digitization processes of selling and service of banking products and serving to our customers, will as well help to move more to digital world from cash. Yep.
And Olena, if I may add to this, one more statement, that we also need to take a look that in time we have also seen a growth of the digital payments, so the card payments, the contactless payments, and so on. So I think, again, to this Adam's point, the fact that all the efforts which we have done for the card solution, for the wallets like RaiPay, we are very much benefiting this from this later on, also our clients, because in time when the clients have let's say quickly thought through that, okay, the situation is secured, it's stable, in time it's much more healthy and much better to pay contactless, pay by card. They are really using this even more than ever before. So looking from this perspective, not only this run is quite important, but also what was in the second step in terms of the digital payments, I think it's equally important as outcome of this situation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and actually, shops also are less willing to accept cash right now. So this is also a push. So I think that this will be the last question, and it is concerns of the legacies of the question from Hannah. Regarding time to market results, what are the banks doing with the slow legacy to digital integration process? So Marek, maybe please start, then Adam, and then Piotr also please comment on this as well.
Yeah, so I can only say that we are really progressively modernizing the integration layer, and as this was also mentioned at one of the points, really we are building currently all the integration layers in the most modern, with the most modern architecture, with the most modern technology, in order to, let's say, do not face similar challenges in the future. And as I said, this was already before, but definitely in current situation, aiming at short time to market, we are very much focusing into it. So from the, I would say, architecture through the technology and actually really putting enough resources in the build-up of the integration layers. This is like, I would say, the shortest answer.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, so legacy was there, will be there. I'm so sorry. Sorry, I'll turn off video. So yeah, sorry. So legacy was there, legacy systems will be there, regardless if we have say the current situation, or we was half a year before. So we need to so we need to provide more modern applications, more modern back office applications, etc. from time to time. And I think, like Marek mentioned, this will speed up the whole process that we already have within the banks. So from time to time, of course, we need to start new project of rebuilding some stuff. But I think the best possible way is to redevelop applications step by step, not wait to some big boom, to big projects, but to be the best possible way is to modern this kind of applications basically on a daily basis.
Thanks. Piotr, are you with us? Because I don't see your video right now.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, sorry.
Please,
Video. Okay, so we as a software provider, we are ready to join new and legacy technology. The integration is possible, and there are a couple of solutions to provide customers such an integration that customer will not be able even to differentiate is he using a new or old system. And sometimes legacy systems has very wide product portfolio coverage, and sometimes it's easier and even more reasonable to upgrade the technology and add missing features, like if there is a need on the market to digitalize the trade finance or any additional module, then it's easier to add it and join with the legacy system.
Thank you. So just let me check if we have some. I think we answered all the questions here. Just a second. There was actually the question about the trade finance. So how is it possible to check all the documents online? But I think, Adam, if you can comment this, I know that ING has this functionality, but actually this is also a separate webinar. So if you can give a really short comment here.
I am not a specialist in trade finance processes, but I think blockchain helps us a lot. This blockchain technology within this whole managing of whole process of delivering guarantee of letters of credits regarding trade finance products. So I think this is possible, and ING is doing that as well. But to be honest, I'm not specialist in this area, so maybe I can send. I don't see who asked the question, but ing.com and another news can be helpful as well. So this is possible for sure.
Yes, we will be actually delivering some information on this, because this is now the trade finance topic and receivable finance topic, and digitalization of this area is also very interesting topic.
We see that electronic guarantees is a lot numbers of that provided by customers is a lot higher that was before epidemic. So I think this is the topic to cover. Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Yes, so we have covered actually all the questions. Maybe one short summary from each of you to close the meeting. So actually, what is the prediction? And so I think that now everything that can move online will actually move online. what are your thoughts on that? And just a short summary of today's talks. Adam, shall we start with you?
Okay, thanks. On the top. Yes, basically, yes. It's looking from the digital capabilities, looking from learning perspective, looking from banking perspective. I think what everything what is possible, and even what we don't think right now that it is possible to be covered online is going online. I saw that buying cars is possible right now, so as well online. I think few months ago, few years ago, that let's say someone maybe looking for a new car is going to buy a car from the e-shop of some specific car company. But right now, this is possible. So I think more and more features, more and more products will go online. This is a matter of tool. This is a matter of customers' behavior, of security, of course, that was mentioned a few times as well. But yeah, this is the future.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Marek. Your summary.
Well, first I would like to wish everyone that we stay healthy. Second, I would wish everyone that we will back to normal. And the question will be if this will be the old normal or the new normal. And my bet will be that this will be the new normal, which we need to somehow a bit reimagine in terms of the possibilities and what we'll do. Actually, this is, like I said before, this is about like few horizons. So we need to act currently short-term, mid-term, but we need to think about the longer-term perspective. And this is exactly what we are now undertaking within the RBI. So we tried now to build a hypothesis on what will be this new normal in terms of the client's behaviors, in terms of the new requirements towards the banking, and towards the RBI banks specifically, and how this translates into specific solutions and the value which will be delivering to our clients. Like I said, for sure, all the new digital, let's say, solutions and new digital capabilities being built, this will be a kind of no regret. But obviously, in the end, there have to be value for the customers coming out of it. So it's not only to add new additional channels or new additional features, but actually to make a good value proposition out of it and something which will be actually really useful for the clients, answering to the very specific problems. So this is very much to this, that we first need to understand what the clients will need from this new normality and new normal situation, and how the banks can answer. But I think we will surprise ourselves still with a lot of digital solutions which we can provide, and also to help our clients and integrate with the businesses.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. And Piotr, a word to you.
Thank you. So I agree with Marek that after the COVID we will have a new normal, and the landscape after the crisis will be definitely different. For banks, I think that they will be less physical and more digital, for sure. And many branches after the crisis will stay closed. Only the strategic ones will survive, in my opinion. Since the epidemic will last longer than it was previously expected, customers will have more time to completely change their habits and maybe to switch to digital channels 100%. And that's why user experience of banking application will play a significant role on the market, and mobile or desktop channels will be the first point of touch for bank, and we need to remember it like in banks and as an IT vendors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much. So Piotr, Adam, and Marek, thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you, our attendees, for staying with us for an hour already. So thanks a lot. And I'm closing the meeting, the webinar, and goodbye. See you next time online.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.